Hi guys, welcome back to my class. I'm your Korean teacher, Emma from seemile. So, what did you learn in the previous class? We discussed the endings 고 있다 and 아어 있다, which indicated that a certain action or state is continuing. And the particles 만 and 도, which in English are used respectively to say like only and also. Then what are we going to learn about today? You'll discover some situations related to making phone calls and encounter new endings usually used to express the speaker's intentions or future plans, as well as the particle 에게, about which we mentioned briefly last time. Before moving on, let's check out some vocabulary you're going to need in this lesson. Please repeat after me as a memory aid. 전화, 걸다, 핸드폰, 새로, 기사, 검색하다, 문자, 받다, 바꿔주다, 무슨, 일, 끊다, 쉬다, 감기, 자다, 신용카드, 만들다, 법, 묻다, 전화번호. Alright, then let's move on to page 141. First, let's watch a video. Please try to figure out what this 아야겠다, 어야겠다 ending actually means.
카이에게 전화를 걸어야겠어요.
핸드폰을 새로 사야겠어요.
핸드폰으로 기사를 검색해야겠어요.
존에게 문자를 보내야겠어요.
히토미, 제가 전화를 받아야겠어요.
Do you remember what Hitomi was doing while saying 카이에게 전화를 걸어야겠어요? Yes, she was picking up the phone to call Kai. She was about to do it. In fact, it's pretty certain that Hitomi would be calling Kai shortly. Likewise, it is appropriate to use 아야겠다, 어야겠다 when expressing the speaker's strong will or intention to do something. So this sentence means, I should call Kai. There's one point you need to keep in mind. This ending is used to express a person's strong will or intention, so the subject should be in the first person. If it is abundantly evident that the subject is I or we, then it can be omitted. If the subject is in the third person, then the ending is used to explain that the speaker is guessing that the subject will be doing something. For example, if you say, 저는 한국어 공부를 시작해야겠어요, or 한국어 공부를 시작해야겠어요, then for the most part, your listeners will understand that, oh, you're referring to yourself and you're pretty determined to start studying Korean. But if you say like, 히토미는 한국어 공부를 시작해야겠어요, then the listener would get it that, oh, you think Hitomi needs to start studying Korean. Let's take a look at another example. If you say, 저는 이번에는 BTS 콘서트에 가야겠어요. Or 이번에는 BTS 콘서트에 가야겠어요. The listener would understand that you have strong will to go to a BTS concert this time around. But if you say 아람이는 이번에는 BTS 콘서트에 가야겠어요, the listener wouldn't take it as Aram having a strong intention to go to a BTS concert, but that you, the speaker, think that Aram should go to a BTS concert this time. In a nutshell, if you're going to use this ending to express the strong intention to do something, then the subject should be in the first person. Now, please try to express in Korean the sentences being pointed to. When referring to something new, we say 새로, so 핸드폰을 새로 사야겠어요. Even though there's no 저는 at the beginning of the sentence, we know that the subject is the speaker, I. The speaker is going to search for an article using a cell phone, so the use of the particle 으로 would be appropriate here, attaching it to 핸드폰. 핸드폰으로 기사를 검색해야겠어요. Again, the words 저는 or 제가 are omitted here, but we know that the subject is the speaker. When referring to an action performed in relation to someone else, 에게 needs to be attached to that person's name. So we would say 존에게 문자를 보내야겠어요. 히토미, 제가 전화를 받아야겠어요. Now repeat after me out loud. 카이에게 전화를 걸어야겠어요. 핸드폰을 새로 사야겠어요. 핸드폰으로 기사를 검색해야겠어요. 존에게 문자를 보내야겠어요. 히토미, 제가 전화를 받아야겠어요. Good job! The next ending, 을게, is also used to express the speaker's intention, but in a different way than 아야겠어요, 어야겠어요. 아야겠어요, 어야겠어요 is used expressly to indicate the speaker's strong will, but it doesn't matter if a listener is present or not. But when it comes to 을게, it is used to convey the speaker's will or promise to somebody, so a listener had to be involved. For example, let's suppose that within 5 minutes you need to leave to go somewhere, so you decided to hang up the phone shortly. Your intention or what you're going to do is end the call soon. So there are two ways you could express that. 곧 전화를 끊어야겠어 or 곧 전화를 끊을게. When it comes to the first option, you might be thinking this internally as a mental note. On the other hand, you wouldn't say 곧 전화를 끊을게 as a mental note. That expression can only be used to convey your will to somebody else. So there would have to be a listener, meaning it's a phrase that would be said out loud. Simply put, 을게 is an ending that delivers the speaker's intention or promise to a listener. When the verb stem ends with a consonant other than 리을, then 을게 is attached. Whereas if it ends with a vowel or the consonant 리을, 리을게 is used. Let's watch a video and see this in action.
로한 씨, 히토미 있어요?
네, 히토미 바꿔줄게요.
카이 씨, 무슨 일이에요?
히토미 씨, 제가 생선을 가져갈게요.
네, 저는 스시를 만들게요.
고마워요, 히토미 씨. 전화 끊을게요.
로한 씨, 히토미 있어요? Now here, 로한 is telling Kai that he will hand the phone over to Hitomi, so he would say, 네, 히토미 바꿔줄게요. In Korean, we say 무슨 일이에요 to ask what happened or to say what's up. 카이 씨, 무슨 일이에요? So here, when Hitomi receives the call, she basically is asking Kai about the purpose of his call. So Kai answers, Hitomi, I'm going to bring some fish. Fish is 생선 and to bring in Korean is 가져가다. Here, Kai is expressing his intent to bring some fish, and the way it's being said, it's like he is promising to do so. Again, in this case, you would use the 을게 ending. 제가 생선을 가져갈게요. Now it's your turn. Please say this in Korean. 네, 저는 스시를 만들게요. 고마워요, 히토미 씨. 전화 끊을게요. Since we are talking about making phone calls right now, let me tell you this. In English, you say hello on the telephone as an expression of greeting. In Korean, you say 여보세요. Now repeat after me out loud. 여보세요. 로한 씨, 히토미 있어요? 네, 히토미 바꿔줄게요. 카이 씨, 무슨 일이에요? 히토미 씨, 제가 생선을 가져갈게요. 네, 저는 스시를 만들게요. 고마워요, 히토미 씨. 전화 끊을게요. Now, there's another ending related to expressing intent. Let's first watch a video. Please pay attention to how this new ending, 을래, can be used in sentences.
카이 씨, 히토미예요. 오늘 우리 집에 올래요?
오늘 저녁은 집에서 쉴래요. 감기에 걸렸어요.
카이 씨, 병원에 가보세요.
아니요. 쉴래요.
네, 쉬세요.
네, 지금부터 잘래요.
Here, 우리 집에 올래요? Hitomi is asking Kai if he wants to come to her house. In other words, if he has the mind or intention to do so. 오늘 저녁은 집에서 쉴래요. 감기에 걸렸어요. Here, Kai expresses the thought that since he's caught a cold, he would prefer just to rest at home. Just as with 을게, when using 을래, A listener should be present, and only the first person can be the subject of the sentence since the purpose is to convey the speaker's intention to the listener. That being said, can you sense the subtle difference between 을래 and 을게? 을게 includes the nuance of the speaker promising to do something, so the focus is on the listener, the recipient of that promise. If Kai says, 내일 히토미 집에 갈게요, then it's not only something that Kai has decided to do, but also something he is promising Hitomi he will do. On the other hand, when you use 을래, the focus is on the speaker since the purpose is to convey the speaker's intention according to his plan. So if Kai says, 내일 히토미 집에 갈래요, then basically it's just Kai verbalizing to the listener what his plan is. Let's get back to the sentence. Here, Kai said he wants to just stay home to rest. But let's suppose the opposite situation. Then they may have this type of conversation. 여보세요? 카이 씨, 히토미예요. 내일 우리 집에 올래요? 네, 내일 히토미 씨 집에 갈래요. 몇 시까지 갈까요? 5시까지 와요. 네, 5시까지 갈게요. Here, by saying 내일 히토미 집에 갈래요, Kai is just stating his intention, but by saying 5시까지 갈게요, Kai is telling Hitomi that not only will he be there by 5, but basically he's promising to do so. Here's another thing. You can't use 을게 in the interrogative form, whereas you can do so with 을래. But such a question should only be used to ask about the listener's intention to do something. So the subject of the interrogative form can only be we or you, meaning it includes the listener. Next, 카이 씨, 병원에 가보세요. To see a doctor in Korean is 병원에 가다 in Korean. It literally means to go to the hospital. Here, 보세요 is an ending used to suggest the listener to try something out. You're going to learn more about this later. What ending is proper to be used here? Yes, 을래. It's simply expressing what Kai wants to do. The focus is on Kai, not on Hitomi. So, 아니요, 쉴래요. 네, 쉬세요. To sleep is 자다, so 잘래요. 지금부터 잘래요. There's one more thing to tell you about 을래. It has quite a casual connotation, so even if it's combined with you, it can sound a bit rude when used to speak to someone older or of a higher social status. Here, Hitomi and Kai are close friends, and they are of a relatively similar social status, so it's very natural and appropriate for it to be used in this conversation. Now, repeat after me out loud. 카이 씨, 히토미예요. 오늘 우리 집에 올래요? 오늘 저녁은 집에서 쉴래요. 감기에 걸렸어요. 카이 씨, 병원에 가보세요. 아니요, 쉴래요. 네, 쉬세요. 네, 지금부터 잘래요. Finally, let's talk about 에게. You already learned that you can use this particle 에게 when saying that the subject is doing something for or to someone. The particle 한테 can also play the same role, but 에게 is usually used in written language, whereas 한테 in spoken language. Now, keeping that in mind, please try to say out in Korean the sentences being pointed to. 히토미가 아람이에게 전화를 걸었어요. Or 히토미가 아람이한테 전화를 걸었어요. 존이 로한에게 핸드폰을 건넸어요. Or 존이 로한한테 핸드폰을 건넸어요. 카이는 전화로 아람이에게 신용카드 만드는 법을 물었어요. Or 카이는 전화로 아람이한테 신용카드 만드는 법을 물었어요. Wow, that was quite tough. Some may have said 카이는 전화로 아람이에게 신용카드를 만들어요 법을 물었어요. And that would still be considered really good. The difference is in whether or not to use the connective ending 는, which enables a noun to be modified by a verb, and you haven't learned about that yet. So please don't get discouraged even if you didn't get the perfect answer. It was a tough one. 히토미는 아람이에게 존의 전화번호를 물었어요. Or 히토미는 아람이한테 존의 전화번호를 물었어요. Alright, now let's watch a video and check if we did it right.
히토미가 아람이에게 전화를 걸었어요.
존이 로한에게 핸드폰을 건넸어요.
카이는 전화로 아람이한테 신용카드 만드는 법을 물었어요.
히토미는 아람이한테 존의 전화번호를 물었어요.
Perfect. Now repeat after me out loud. 히토미가 아람이에게 전화를 걸었어요. 존이 로한에게 핸드폰을 건넸어요. 카이는 전화로 아람이한테 신용카드 만드는 법을 물었어요. 히토미는 아람이한테 존의 전화번호를 물었어요. Good job! Now, by solving the questions on page 147, let's review what we've learned today. Number 1. Choose the right picture. 핸드폰을 새로 사야겠어요. 사야겠어요 shows the speaker's strong resolve to buy a new cell phone. Picture number 1 has to be the answer. Next, 히토미는 아람이한테 존의 전화번호를 물었어요. 아람이한테 to 아람, 히토미는 물었어요. 히토미 asked. 존의 전화번호를 John's phone number. Picture number 3 looks like it best described this sentence, doesn't it? Now question number 2. Complete the sentence, choose from the list. Number 1. 네, 저는 스시를 만들. Grammatically, both 게요 and 레요 can be used here. 제가 스시를 만들게요. This is being said to a listener telling them that the speaker promises to make sushi, whereas 제가 스시를 만들래요 simply expresses the speaker's resolve to make sushi herself. Number 2. 존이 로한 핸드폰을 건넸어요. With these few words, you can guess that it's trying to say that John handed over a cell phone to Rohan. So to indicate that a person is the one impacted by the action of the sentence, you have to attach the particle 에게 or 한테 to the noun. In this case, a person's name. 에게 is the only viable option in the word list. So the sentence would read, 존이 로한에게 핸드폰을 건넸어요. Number 3. 고마워요, 히토미 씨. 전화 끈. Out of the word list, only 을게요 is grammatically viable to be attached to 끈. 전화 끊을게요. It's like I'm letting you know that I'm about to hang up the phone. Then what if the sentence ends in 을래요, as in 전화 끊을래요? Then the focus moves to the speaker and the meaning is closer to I'm going to hang up the phone because I want to. By the way, the correct answer is 고마워요, 히토미 씨. 전화 끊을게요. Number 4. 존에게 문자를 보내야. 보내 is the stem of 보내다, which means to send, and we can assume that 야 is the part of the stem 야겠어요. 보내야겠어요. Here, the speaker is expressing his strong intention to send a text message to John, as in, I should send a text message to John. 존에게 문자를 보내야겠어요. Number 5. 카이는 전화로 아람이 신용카드 만드는 법을 물었어요. This apparently means that Kai called Aram to ask how to get a credit card. Aram is the one to whom Kai asked that question, so it would be appropriate to use 에게 here. 카이는 전화로 아람이에게 신용카드 만드는 법을 물었어요. Number 6. 이 빵은 나중에 먹. The only grammatically viable option here out of the word list is 을게요, 먹을게요. It includes the subtle meaning that the speaker is promising the listener that he will eat the bread later. 이 빵은 나중에 먹을게요. Number 7. 오늘 저녁은 집에서 쉴. 감기에 걸렸어요. The speaker caught a cold, so obviously he's hoping to just stay home and rest. So according to the context, the sentence is expressing the speaker's intention, so 레요 would be the most appropriate option here. 오늘 저녁은 집에서 쉴래요. 감기에 걸렸어요. If someone else suggested to the speaker that he take a rest at home, and the speaker told him that for sure he would, like as in, I promise I'll take a rest, then the speaker would say, 네, 오늘 저녁은 집에서 쉴게요. Number 8. 히토미 씨, 제가 생선을 가져갈. It sounds like the speaker is making a promise to Hitomi that he's going to bring fish. In this case, he would say, 히토미 씨, 제가 생선을 가져갈게요. But if he is just expressing his personal will or desire to bring 생선, then he would say, 히토미 씨, 제가 생선을 가져갈래요. Alright, now let's suppose that you need to ask your friend when he's going to arrive and if he can bring something. Please picture yourself talking to your friend in Korean. What would your conversation be like? Let me try first. 몇 시까지 올 거예요? 5시까지 갈 거예요. 밥을 집 안에서 먹을래요? 밖에서 먹을래요? 추워요. 집 안에서 먹어야겠어요. 제가 과일을 가져갈게요. 고마워요. Now it's your turn. Please picture the same situation and tell me what kind of conversation you would have with your friend. And again, please don't forget to use your dictionary if needed. Please don't limit yourself to words you've already learned. Excellent. Wow, you've now gone through half of the entire curriculum. 20 out of 40 lessons. Today, you learned about endings related to the speaker's intention like 아야겠다, 어야겠다, 을게, 을래, and the particle 한테에게. Then, what are we going to learn about in our next class? We'll discuss some endings that can be used to express the speaker's hopes or wishes, and some particles that enable us to use nouns to make comparisons. Look forward to seeing you guys then. Bye!